and welcome to another episode of That Solo Life. I'm Michelle Kane of Voice Matters, and I'm here with my always fantastic co-host Karen Swim of Words for Hire and head crony at Solo PR Pro. It's a Monday, everyone. How are you, Karen?
Monday. I am great, Michelle. How are you?
I am good. It is, it's technically still summer, but the fall events are in full swing. So yeah, I'm coming off a gratefully busy weekend, but still my Monday head is just saying coffee, and more coffee. So
yeah, I've had my 2 cups. I think I'm done there. And I didn't have a particularly stressful weekend, but I did wake up this morning and think, I wonder why I'm tired. That's interesting. Oh, well.
I'm sure you have many legitimate reasons to be tired, as most of us in the work we do, which we love, but at the same time,
I guess.
we're talking off air about having to be really cognizant about taking the time to recharge ourselves and how hard that is sometimes to just say, I am not going to do today, but
it's so true.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly, I've been on this mission, as you know, for the past couple of weeks to really change my relationship with Mondays. So I've really been looking at Monday as an opportunity, a blank slate, and kind of welcoming the start of the week rather than going, ugh, are you here again? I kind of hate you.
10 p.m. Sunday terrorists go, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's so true. That's so true. So with that, everyone, we decided we were going to keep it light today with this episode and just talk a little pop culture. There's a
little pop culture.
There are some fun things. Well, I don't say fun things, but there are some things out there that are just making us scratch our heads and just go, really? Kind of like, all the hits the House of Sussex is taking from the British press when, well, I mean, you don't quite have to wonder that it's all cover for Prince Andrew's sketchiness, but still.
Yeah. So, we PR people, we need our breaks. We need our laughter. We need, Property Brothers and Real Housewives and, ridiculous articles because we got to have like a break from, the reality of sometimes the very serious things that we do and the hours that we put in. And so we, like all of you, do enjoy a good pop story, and sometimes they actually do have ties to what we do. So whether or not you are a royal watcher, there was an article that came out, I think it was this morning, about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And what I found interesting about this article is that they were calling the royal couple a public relations nightmare.
Seriously.
And yeah. And I was like, okay.
I do not think that means what they think it means.
I don't think so either, but maybe the British, have, and this article is peppered with the reference to quote unquote royal experts. Now, I don't know what it takes to be a royal expert, but from what I read in this article, they're pretty mean. They're not nice people.
Notoriously, yeah. I think that's part of the job description. Yeah, the royal watchers, and I have
royal watchers.
Yeah, I have noticed that over time. That definitely Meghan is the target for a lot of things, either to deflect from other stories that aren't so great.
Yes.
Especially with this whole Epstein Prince Andrew connection. And, I don't know. Have you watched The Crown, Karen?
I have not watched The Crown.
Oh, wow. There's a significant scene where Elizabeth wanted, and forgive me, I don't know the proper title. Maybe it's her secretary or something. And she wanted the person who had, been her kind of right hand before she became queen. And no, the the person in charge who's always been in charge, made it so that he was still in charge. So it kind of made me think of back when in Diana days, when they talked about the firm and how, the courtiers and who really runs things. And I'm thinking, this smells a little bit of that too.
Interesting. Well, what caught my attention was, so there's all this scuttlebutt about a U.S. PR firm. And so this PR firm worked on the Vogue project in the U.S. market. And there was this statement that went around last week that said Meghan Markle hired this PR firm and said that she wanted to break the internet. And the PR firm is saying, no, that was not said. And that also what they were actually hired to do is to promote Prince Harry's sustainable travel initiative. And he paid them out of his own pocket, not out of taxpayer funds.
How about that?
And so there was a lot of criticism about this U.S. PR firm. And then this one, quote unquote, royal expert said, why would you need a defamation expert on a charity's board? And Michelle and I were like,
look in the mirror, commentator.
Why? Because
that's why.
Every public facing company should have somebody to handle crisis communications proactively.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, and so her gripe was the crisis management is best handled by someone who understands the royal system and not by Americans. And I kind of took issue with that. Like, what do you mean not by Americans? And so the criticism of Meghan Markle clearly says that they definitely do not like Americans of color, because I can't imagine that if she were not a woman of color, that she would be subjected to the level of disrespect and scrutiny. I'm sure that there would still be criticism, but
of course,
this has been completely ridiculous.
It's totally obscene. I mean, it's absolutely obscene. And you think,
it's obscene.
Really? It's 2019.
And, get over can yourselves. We talk like, really? Do you not think that? So they should understand the royal system, and I would argue, and so we could apply this to lots of things,
right? To any company, really.
Often to any company, you don't want people who are in your silo to be making every decision. This is how you get into trouble. You need people on your team that are going to have a broader view, which is one of the things that I love about micro agencies and solo PR pros is that we have such a breadth and depth, or any outside agency really, because you're not working with a single client, they're not your employer. And so you're able to take a step back and look through a much larger lens.
Yes.
So for them to say, well, you don't need somebody who is a defamation expert, you need somebody who's a royal expert, was just crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
And especially what they were hired for. The agency's, scope has nothing to do with royal protocol. It's for a business and social based initiative. So yeah, I think it's just, they don't like anything. How should we say? They like to keep everything in house. They don't like to subcontract at all. And I think the institutional, racism that's happening on top of gasp, her being American and an
actress. Let's not forget that.
Seriously. So of course nothing she says is real. And I think just honestly, both of their desire to be modern, and I think it's interesting because this did pop into my head. I don't know why. In recent days, maybe just reading about this, thinking about, well, what were their expectations of Harry once he did, marry, and really now he's starting his new life. This is his new chapter. He's no longer, is he supposed to remain the third wheel? So,
it is interesting because I feel like they, first of all, navigated falling in love, getting married, and becoming parents. That's a journey that everybody has to figure out. Right. And your journey is not going to look like everybody else's. And he is not going to be king. And from an outsider's perspective, like, who cares what hand she holds her teacup in? I mean, everything is
Exactly.
not like DEFCON level emergency,
Yeah.
but I feel like she's criticized over every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate Middleton was also an outsider who
Yes.
didn't do everything perfectly. And I felt like there was grace and forgiveness. And, she has a different role. Her husband is going to be king. And
Right.
so it's just, it's odd. It's very odd, but
A little
in some
maddening.
yeah, it would be entertaining. Some of it would be entertaining if it just wasn't so mean.
Right. If it weren't based in a cruelty,
Yes.
which,
Yeah.
they'll never fess up, but it is. Well, segue to a bit
Yes.
entertaining. Talk about manufacturing your image. This whole Caroline Calloway thing. I love the one line of what she said. She wanted to architect a life or something, and I'm thinking, what? Like
Yes.
what? And I get it. Instagram influencers. What are you gonna do? But this was kind of borderline. I don't know. It's more of a mental health story almost.
Sadly it was, and I hope that came through as well. Part of it, so I saw it in so many different ways. Of course, the PR person in me reacted to the influencer,
Mm-hmm.
illusion
Right.
that, and I know that smart PR pros never select influencers based on numbers alone,
Right.
but it was just a good reminder because we're not always the people who select the influencers. It was a good reminder to everyone out there that Instagram is filtered. It's not the reality. And particularly if you're looking at influencers for business, you really need to do some serious vetting, really have a good understanding of the power that they have over an audience and what's really behind the curtain. You have to be the one to pull it back because you're not going to get the full story. And as this whole thing unfolded with Caroline Calloway, she, confessed in secret that she had actually purchased followers.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that got me about her story is that really these were both very smart young women.
Right.
So they both, I believe, have an inordinate amount of talent and gifts to offer to the world, but they were kind of growing up and making, their own mistakes. And,
So
and,
true.
and there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing negative to say about either of them. One had some mental health issues and it sounds like she's getting help for that.
Yeah.
And they were young and they were growing. And that's kind of what you do and that's okay. But
Right. Doing it on such a
wow.
large stage, thinking you've got it all together. Yeah, because I think you're 19 and 20, you're experiencing college and just that phase of life when you're bound to make some stupid mistakes or stumble because you're finding your way. And, that there's just a certain danger in trying to cultivate anything else on such a public scale. But hopefully they
I agree.
both learn and move on from it.
And I mean, their captions and their photos were very successful. And that's the thing that we sort of have to look at, that they actually architected it. And it doesn't mean that you can't, as, if you're an aspiring influencer and you truly have a passion for something and you want to turn that into your platform and brand sign on because you actually do have the ear of your audience and can move the needle.
Right.
We're not saying that, that's not legitimate.
Right.
But this was such a crafted, developed image that wasn't a real human being, honestly. I mean, there were real human beings behind it,
Right.
but it wasn't who she was as a person. It wasn't genuine. It wasn't authentic, though it was quite successful for a time and successful enough for her to land a book deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's almost as if, if they had been savvier or more intentional or even cared about being, I don't know, ethical. Call it performance art. Call it performance art. Realize this is a third party experience. as opposed to, yeah, you help, and I almost feel at the beginning as though, the other woman, she saw in her a wealth of talent of, yeah, good. I'll look cute in the photos, and then you can just kind of write the things, and, almost a Cyrano de Bergerac kind of situation. And, well, that's never going to end well. So yeah, it's just really, kind of fascinating. And yeah, and they're young. Not that they shouldn't be held accountable for the things, but hopefully, they're learning and moving on, and just the influencer world in general. It's almost like it's siloed a bit off from endorsers, right? Because endorsers, want someone to endorse a product, they have to have some credibility to begin with. And the danger of veering into influencer territory is, like you said, making sure that it's a good choice and a choice that's not going to damage your brand.
Exactly. And that's the thing that's so interesting too, is that, let's be honest. We're all influencers. Now, we may not all influence, the same number of people, but we all are influencers. There's somebody who values what you say and what you do, what you share, whether it's on social media or in your own family. So to some degree, we are influencers, and this whole culture of the influencer has risen up. And, I look at it in the same way that content has, just exploded. And now people talk so much about fake news, but the real problem that I see is that we have a really hard system today for regular people to be able to determine, well, who's a journalist and who's not?
So true.
Because there's this mixture. So I think of influencers in the same way, whether we've always had spokespeople, right. We've always had paid spokespeople, we've always had company spokespeople, and we've always had we've always known about influencers, and we've run influencer programs, but now there are so many varieties of people, right, that call themselves an influencer or call themselves a content creator, that it sort of muddies the rules that we're used to all playing by.
So true. And, throw the whole prosumerism into it, and it gets even muddier. And you're so right.
Yeah.
Even, watch any news program, and, you have to, in your head, separate, okay, that's a pundit. They're representing a viewpoint. That's the journalist over there with with the facts and the information, and just really to be discerning about what you're hearing and seeing, and to always have that switch on.
Yes.
It can be challenging sometimes.
It for sure can be challenging.
Yeah, I in no way I'm saying that, most presentations are out to deceive anyone. That's not what I'm trying to say, but just, if people are saying, well, so-and-so said this. Okay. Were they speaking on behalf of anyone at that moment? Or were they saying, here, I'm working on this actual news story and here are the facts? So yeah. And just to remind ourselves of that on that level, and even take that into a situation where if you're following an influencer, and just realizing, okay, well, what is their motivation? What is their reason for creating this content and being on this platform? What are they looking to get out of it? And how should that influence how I'm receiving this information? Wow, I didn't know we were going to be so deep today.
I know. It's supposed to be so light.
We can't help ourselves. Well,
but it's funny because I actually do work with influencers, and the thing that PR pros and companies need to never forego is you always want to have a crisis communication plan with crisis communication scenarios, because even the most trusted, quote unquote, influencer can make a misstep that will impact your brand.
Absolutely.
So just because that person has a track record, the influencers I work with span the gamut from, economists and analysts down to, moms that have children with special needs. So it's a smaller group that's in a target audience, and attaching someone to your brand always can have risk.
Right.
Just as you have people on your board that can present a risk to your company, or people that are in your own company. So having a plan, because you can't know everything. Let's face it, you can't. There are lots of secrets right now that are coming out of the woodwork about so many different people that just were not known. And if you're associated with those brands, you don't want to go down in flames, and you want to always have a plan, whether you're working with, a micro influencer or, someone that is very, well known.
Right. No, it's so true. It's just really one of the main pillars of PR is always be ready, always be prepared,
always be ready.
You don't want to get caught unprepared in any situation. So, which could explain, I don't know about you, Karen, but a little bit of my paranoia. I say a little paranoia goes a long way. It's good to be ready.
It's true.
It's not always fun.
It's true. It's like, really?
Hi.
Is that a real review? Or yeah,
right?
You do sort of have healthy skepticism when you're in PR. You tend to look at everything, and
yes, yes. I always tell people, no, you pay me to be the storm cloud. This is what could go wrong. Let's just be ready for it.
I mean, that said, though, I believe in influencers, and hey, if there are, any vegan cupcake brands out there and you need somebody to eat your stuff and take pictures, I'm your girl.
I love it. Yeah. Hey,
I was going to try to be an Instagram star with my little fur baby, but she's not always cooperative, and she sometimes refuses to have her picture taken. So that's not working out. So, hey, if you got vegan food, I will eat it.
I will gladly smile with your chocolate.
I will. The biggest smile. And I will tell everybody I know how good it is.
So I guess, I don't know if Popeyes needs to come up with a vegan chicken sandwich.
Oh my God. The Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, Arby's, I swear to you, the fast food places are the funniest in the Twitterverse.
They are. Wendy's has a really strong Twitter game, I have to say. But
they do.
I heard a snippet of a report on the radio, I think it was Thursday or Friday, where, because apparently Popeyes ran out of chicken because it was so popular, or they had.
Okay, listen. The vegan must ask this question: when chicken is literally part of your name, how do you run out of it?
I don't know.
Please inform me.
Okay, so now I'm wondering if what they meant about chicken running out of chicken sandwiches, if they actually meant the chicken, because this little snippet that I heard said that they allegedly were now saying if you bring your own bun, they will pay. So maybe they ran out of the sandwich chicken. They said bring your own bun and they will make it, or I don't think it's not going to make it because restaurants don't take outside food. They'll give you the chicken strips to create your own sandwich. I'm like, what?
This is hilarious to me.
Isn't it crazy?
It's hilarious. And if you talk about just spillover marketing, I think that this whole thing has been just a boon for all of the fast food companies, because it's so ridiculous and hilarious.
It is.
Is there a person on planet Earth that doesn't know that Popeyes has a chicken sandwich? I mean, I don't even eat chicken, and I know it. So,
well, and I've even seen then it's filtered down to the local level, because I've seen in the Philly area, and then I'm kind of right between the Lehigh Valley at the Allentown area. They've both had profiles on forget the fast food. Here are the best chicken sandwiches in town. Rock on. Okay, I love local. Talk to me.
I love it.
Funny, kind of alongside that, this didn't blow up nationally or anything, but there was a lot of displeasure when our regional convenience store extraordinaire Wawa apparently he struck a deal with the Baltimore Ravens football team. I'm like, say what? Fly Eagles fly. What is that about? So, there was some consternation in the world, but then I recently saw a photo. Yeah, they might have struck a deal with the Baltimore Ravens, but they are wrapping the hoagies in Philadelphia Eagles paper. So the
Oh my
Ravens
gosh.
fans are getting Philly wrapped sandwiches, which just, strikes our perverse funny bone in this region. So I guess that was kind of their way of saying you had to hang with us. We have our ways.
Oh my gosh.
Don't worry.
That's hilarious.
Not leaving you. Even Wawa had a plan. Wawa always has a plan.
So I kind of heard that there is a market named Wawa that just always cracks me up. And that it's not the first time I've heard the name, but it just is hilarious to me.
Wawa.
That's hilarious.
The best. Allegedly named for a bird, I think. Or something. I don't.
Oh, okay. See, this all makes sense.
It's a little bird, part of its logo, or was part of its logo. I really haven't looked at the logo lately. I think the bird's still in there.
Board.
Yeah.
I get it now. That I did not know that. See, you learn something all the time.
A little dairy in Delco has spawned an East Coast empire of hoagies. Or should I say hoagies?
Okay. You learn something new every day. Gotta love Philly. I love Philly, by the way. It's just so many wonderful things about it, and it's so different in every single part of town.
The city that loves you back and on occasion shoves you back, but you probably deserved it. It's okay.
I love that. So one final little poppy thing today, sort of poppy, but sort of sad. So I was on Twitter this morning and I noticed that Tony Cervoni, please forgive me, Tony, if I'm mispronouncing your last name. But anyway, he's the SVP of comms for GM. And so there's this tweet with a big picture of him congratulating him on this honor of being named something, I don't know, top PR person of all times. I think it was PR News or PR Week. And it just happens that this gets announced on a day when there's the big strike.
Probably on fire right now. Yeah. It's like, thanks.
Right. And I'm like, oh, poor guy. You don't even get your moment to celebrate before you are actually handling this ridiculously, large crisis with UAW striking. I mean, how bad is that?
You almost hope it's like, could you hold the story on me so I can enjoy it? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, would not want to be Tony today, but Tony, we're kind of sending you a little bit of love because we know that there's probably been a lot of late nights and long days leading up to this announcement, and they sort of announced it that this could be happening
so over the
last week, over the weekend, and now it's here, and I guess it's really big because this hasn't happened in a really long time.
10 years? No, 10 years.
Yeah. Was it 10?
I think it was 10. Don't take me as 100% correct on that. Yeah,
don't take me either.
So, I mean, hopefully for all concerned, it's, rectified quickly.
I hope so too. I mean, obviously living in Michigan, you know, the auto industry is supremely important here. I still don't get all the ins and outs, but it certainly powers a lot of jobs. And so we're always rooting for American automakers to do the right thing and to do well so that we keep jobs in the area. So, and, just for us being in communications, we always feel with any comms person that's having to deal with these kind of issues because we know intricately how complex it can be, how exhausting it can be. So we're sending you some love, Tony.
Oh, man.
Peace and love to the brotherhood this morning. And we hope that everybody gets through this and that you guys are able to reach a negotiation that helps both sides.
We do. So, hey, hopefully by the time this episode drops that it's all over. Here's to that by this time it's yesterday's news and everyone's moving forward happily. So that's our
let's hope they are and that we're not. because we want you to keep tuning in.
True. Good catch. Thank you.
Yeah, we want you to keep tuning in and listening and laughing and learning and sharing topic ideas with us. And of course, I don't think we've mentioned this before, but if you want to be a guest on the show, just shoot us an email.
Great. Maybe
tweet us.
Tony will join us and talk about his.
Maybe Tony will join us. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. See, here we go. Always thinking.
You had a very good, very bad day all in one day.
Let's talk about that. We should say that for a happy hour episode.
A happy hour episode. I like that. Come chat with us, Tony. If anybody knows Tony and he wants to chat with us, we're open to chat and we're nice. Yeah. We're friendly. We're not going to roast you.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's not what we do.
That's not what we do. We're all here to learn from one another and laugh with one another because God knows our jobs can be stressful.
That's right. You need to laugh.
We need to laugh for sure. So, Michelle, thanks. This was fun. This was sort of this was my Monday perk.
That's right. Me too. I'm ready. I'm ready for the rest of the day now.
Me too. Well, you guys have a fantastic week. It was so nice chatting with us. Michelle, tell them where they can find us and all of that good stuff.
Well, you can find us at soloprpro.com. We are also on all the podcast channels, so please subscribe. And you can also comment on our show notes. Our home base is Podbean. But like I said, we can be found everywhere. And and if you're a PR pro out there, consider joining soloprpro.com. It is a wonderful, wonderful group, much like this podcast. Like Karen said, we're all here to learn from each other, lift each other up, and just really make the industry as good as it can be. So we wish you all a good week, and we'll see you next time on That Solo Life.